Okay, let's dive right into this. In this analysis, we are going completely behind the curtain of the academic world. I mean, have you ever actually wondered how global research moves forward day to day? Well, we're taking a closer look at the intricate, often hidden world of academic publishing, and we're being guided by the brilliant insights and extensive experience of Professor Saladin Krit.
So, how does science really advance? It's a pretty profound thing to think about, right? Because we usually only see the final, polished breakthroughs. The headline grabbing discoveries in medicine, advanced technology, or engineering that totally change our daily lives. But beneath those headlines, long before the public ever hears about a new concept, there is this massive, highly structured engine of what we call the invisible work. It's the rigorous, continuous, global exchange of data and ideas among scientists across borders. And today, we're going to make that invisible work visible.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be covering the heart of scientific conferences, then proceedings, journals, and books. After that, we'll go behind the scenes of publishing, look at the epicenter of tech innovation, talk about boosting your scientific visibility, and finally, we'll wrap up with some advice for young researchers. All right, jumping into section 1, the heart of scientific conferences. You hear the word proceedings thrown around a lot in academia, but what exactly does it mean in practical terms? Well, proceedings are so much more than just a simple collection of articles handed out in a folder at an event. They actually constitute the scientific memory of international conferences. They serve as this essential vector for knowledge diffusion, literally spreading new ideas like wildfire, and they act as a true motor for innovation. Think about it. When top-tier experts gather from all over the world to debate brand new findings, the proceedings are the permanent, documented record of that real-time brain trust. They capture the absolute spark of innovation right at its source. Moving right along to section 2, proceedings, journals, and books. Now, what's really interesting here is the distinction between these formats. Because if you're a young researcher, knowing exactly where your specific piece of work belongs is literally half the battle. So proceedings capture that conference memory we just talked about, and they focus on fast, cutting-edge innovation. Journals, on the other hand, well, they're periodic publications that go through intense, often lengthy peer review cycles, sometimes taking many months, and they're designed to establish long-term academic consensus. And finally, scientific books. These synthesize massive amounts of established research for deep, really comprehensive dives into a subject. Understanding these mechanical differences is absolutely vital. It ensures you don't waste time and that you're targeting the exact right platform for your research goals. Let's pull the curtain back even further in section 3, behind the scenes of publishing. So it's a whole journey, the complex administrative timeline that actually transforms raw research into a highly credible, traceable publication starts at step 1, with the initial submission of the paper. Then it hits step 2, which is the absolutely critical peer review process, where independent experts aggressively evaluate the methodology and validity of the work. Step 3 brings in the editorial board for higher-level review and curation, making sure the paper actually fits the scope of the publication. And finally, step 4 is the assignment of a DOI and an ISBN. Those acronyms are crucial. They basically act as the digital fingerprints for a paper. They guarantee that no matter what happens, your research can be permanently found, correctly cited, and accurately tracked in massive global databases for decades to come. And overseeing this entire rigorous process are key figures like the general chair and the scientific editor. Drawing on the first-hand experience of experts like Professor Saladin Krit, who is an IEEE senior member, a researcher, and a general chair himself, we learn that these roles carry incredibly heavy responsibilities. I mean, they aren't just passive administrators checking boxes. They are the active gatekeepers. They ensure top-tier quality, they filter out flawed science, and they essentially drive the international research agenda forward by deciding which breakthroughs are actually ready for the global stage. Which brings us to section 4, the epicenter of tech innovation. And this brilliantly illustrates what we're really dealing with today. We're talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning and deep learning, the Internet of Things connecting our physical world, cybersecurity protecting our entire digital infrastructure, big data, cloud computing, and the development of smart cities. The breadth of modern technological innovation is just staggering. And here is the core takeaway regarding proceedings. These specific fields are evolving so incredibly fast that traditional, slow-moving journal publishing can sometimes genuinely struggle to keep up. That is precisely why conference proceedings are so vital. They are documenting our society's digital transformation in real time. They capture the absolute bleeding edge of these dynamic fields exactly as the discoveries happen. All right, let's talk about you and Section 5, boosting your scientific visibility. We return here to this core philosophy. Proceedings constitute the scientific memory of conferences and a true motor for innovation. When you successfully publish in high-quality international proceedings, you aren't just getting a passing grade or a gold star on your CV. You are literally weaving your personal work into the permanent global scientific memory. And this directly and dramatically boosts your international visibility. Your work enters massive, prestigious indexing databases like Scopus and Web of Science. So suddenly, you become highly searchable to other scholars. Your work becomes citable, and you are officially an active, recognized participant in the global scientific conversation. Wrapping up with Section 6, Advice for Young Researchers. So the crucial point here is if you are a student, a PhD candidate, or a lab manager, this is your direct blueprint for amplifying your work on the global stage. First, you absolutely must carefully choose quality international conferences. Not all conferences are created equal, right? You need to look for those with a proven track record, rigorous standards, and clear indexing in those major databases we just mentioned. Second, learn to master the peer review process. Do not be discouraged by intense revisions or critical feedback. Use that expert input to make your science completely bulletproof. And third, strategically maximize your citations by ensuring your final published work is highly discoverable, well-titled, and properly formatted for searchability in platforms like Scopus.
Which brings us to a final empowering question. Are you ready to publish your next discovery? The invisible engine of global research never stops turning, and it relies constantly on fresh, innovative ideas. Remember that there are rich educational resources out there, like Crit Academy, which offer ongoing deep dives into bibliometrics, pedagogical innovation, and mastering this whole complex academic publishing ecosystem. Your research absolutely deserves to be a part of the world's scientific memory. So the only real question left is, what are you going to contribute to the future?